Hi, this is Darius March of Into the Mantle. Today I wanted to delve into the sound recording mastering process known as Process 70. This was used in the early 60s, late 50s, early 60s, and it's only found on the occasional vinyl record, and just wanted to get into what Process 70 is. And for this, I'm looking at the record shown in the picture on Time Records, Billy May and his orchestra, and just wanted to go through exactly how Time Records explains what Process 70 is and what that means. Time Records is proud to present Process 70, which represents a major breakthrough in the field of recording. Although Process 70 has been in its experimental stage on Time Records Series 2000 for the past 2 years, it has now reached its ultimate stage of perfection. Process 70 can only be found on Time Records. Unlike 35mm, which was first used in 1957 and dropped by most recording companies, this is the first time Process 70 is being brought to the attention of the public. Process 70 is the development of a pre-emphasis characteristic which is less than that normally used. We can effectively increase the overload handling capacity of the electronics as well as the tape itself while still maintaining an even wider bandwidth, 2 words, of reproduction. As the tape moves by the head faster, an inherent increase in high-frequency response results in its use. Process 70 takes advantage of the gain in the high-frequency response to improve the transient characteristics of the reproduced tape and also results in a lower distortion level. This is accomplished by reducing the amount of high-frequency boost and compensating for it by reducing the amount of the high-frequency de-emphasis. Process 70 has its own unique way of mastering, different from that used by recording companies. The net result is apparent enough that you will hear a difference. The improvement is most apparent in respect to the improved transient response and the cleanness in the high-frequency range, which is attendant on the operation of the system on a bias that leaves better overload reserve. Perforated film 35mm is known to shrink so that sprocket drive tearing mutilates the medium beyond usefulness. 35mm is guided and never pulled past the recording head. This is a tremendous disadvantage since continuous head contact is not obtained except at relatively higher contact pressure. Process 70 does not have this liability because it is pulled past the recording heads and never loses peak fidelity of highs, lows, or mid-range. Therefore, dimensional stability of Process 70 is excellent compared to that of film recording methods now in use. Process 70's signal-to-noise ratio is superior by up to 4 decibels. Comparative listening tests using original studio recordings confirm this superiority. Process 70 masters at a lower distortion rate than any other method in existence today. Process 70 combines a clearer separation without any gimmick of closed channels to fool the listener with false attitudes. At no time is there any elimination of circuits or throwing of channels crosswise to confuse or fool the listener. Now keep in mind at this point stereo separation was in use, and throwing of channels is referring to panning either of the 2 stereo channels to one side or the other. Process 70 is the ultimate in fidelity reproduction. It represents the best signal-to-noise ratio possible. Process 70 means greater distortion-free range and a broader sound. Also of note, on this particular Time Records release, which again I believe is dated to, it had to be sometime in the late 50s or early 60s, at the latest 62. But of note on this particular album is that Bill Putnam is the original and re-recording engineer. Bill Putnam later started the United Recording Company in the West Coast, which later evolved into Universal Audio, which to this day is now producing software for digital audio recording. So this is Time Records, and this is Time Records S2064. That is the catalog number, and not to be confused with the Time Records, which is an Italian record label which produces primarily dance music. This is in fact an American record label at the time. In the 60s, it was located in New York, 2 West 45th Street in New York. Time Records Incorporated. So there you have it, Process 70. Process 70 is just the process of taking a master tape or master recording and preparing that for mass distribution and manufacture. Of course, this process has changed in the last 46 years. And you can find out more by going to, if you look up the mastering process, you can find out more on Wikipedia and many other sites on the recording and mastering process. This has been Darius March of Into the Mantle. Thank you.